Good evening, data managers. This is Mr. Dunbar welcoming you to this week's video. Unfortunately, the Adobe Connect session had to be cancelled because of technical difficulties. I guess the website was down. Hopefully this will be the first and last time that happens. So, there were three things I was going to tackle tonight. First, where are we at? And second, where are we going? And then finishing off with a Q&A period, which we obviously can't do, given that this is a one-way only system. So here we got a cute little picture of where we can go. Nice little forest railway with two little box people. Okay, so first things first. Many of you are not completing everything, or perhaps you are a little overwhelmed with other courses. Either way, I am going to encourage you to complete as much as you can and to do it in a timely manner. So I'm thinking of implementing a completion mark for the assignments that are not explicitly evaluated. So if I'm not putting a level on a particular assignment, I'm still going to be checking to make sure that you have completed it. It doesn't mean that you have to spend a huge amount of time on it. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, you can, I guess, cut corners in a way. But I do expect you to submit them and to make an honest effort to complete them. The whole point of completing those learning tasks is to make sure that you prepare yourself for evaluations and that you actually learn something. Because the whole point of taking this course is that you learn something, right? Okay, so let's take a look at Unit 2, because that's the unit we're in and should be finished by the middle of next week. There were 7 learning tasks in this unit. We've got videos for the first 6. To finish it off, I guess I'll make a video for the last one, the 7th, and then we're going to finish off with a test. So the first 5 you should definitely be finishing by the end of this week. So tomorrow is Friday, that's the end of this week. I know some of you like to work on the weekend. It gives you an opportunity to finish it on the weekend. Next week, I definitely will expect you to have finished all of the learning tasks, because by the end of the week, I would like you to be ready for the test. So let's take a look at Dropbox assignments. There have been a few. So in Unit 1, there were 3, of which I only evaluated the last one, the journal. And in Unit 2, there are 3 that I certainly expect you to have completed by now. So the summation notation, percentiles, and the measures of central tendency. In terms of things that are not entirely finished yet, a number of you still have to work on your box and whisker plots, and then of course measures of variability 1 and 2, since you are working typically in order. In terms of discussions, the success rate is a little better. You're participating more in your discussions than in your drop boxes. So we have in Unit 1 3 discussions that we've looked at, and so far in Unit 2 there are 2 discussions that I would have expected you to finish by now. There will be one more, that's item number 8, lesson 8, the graphing calculator one. I would encourage you to try it if you have access to a graphing calculator, or if you can get one of the simulators on the web to work. I guess if you cannot use a graphing calculator for that, it's not the end of the world, but I would like you to be familiar with those. Unit 3, right off the bat, the first and the second lesson do have discussions. So by the end of this week, tomorrow is Friday, remember, I will expect you to have completed up to Lesson 5 in Unit 2, and Lesson 5 is box and whisker plots. Box plots and whiskers. By the middle of next week, I expect you to have completed all the learning tasks, which means all the way up to Lesson 7 in Unit 2, and that's measuring variability. So that's by the middle of next week, I expect you to have completed measuring variability, both of those lessons. So here's a quick summary of the 7 learning tasks for Unit 2, and my goal is to have you writing the test at the end of next week. By the way, the test is not an online quiz, it is a quote-unquote take-home test, which you will download You can print it out if you wish, or you can just write out the answers and then, as with everything that you've been doing so far, scan and send back to me. The other thing I would like to start by the end of next week is working on Unit 3, the first lesson, which is scatter plots, something that you're familiar with from your science courses, I no doubt, but something that is a very important technique to master. Now, notifications. I would like to take a moment to demo notifications to remind you that they're in the system and that they can really make your life easier. So I'm just going to switch into student mode from my teacher mode, and I'm sure you can see the bouncing cursor on the screen, which I'm going left and right. I'm going left and right over notifications. So notifications under your profile area, and you can notice that you've got an email address option and a mobile number option. So if you check your email diligently, you can set it up to go to your email. If not, I encourage you to register your mobile unless you pay for incoming text messages. And as far as I know, only Rogers Pay As You Go does that. And that's only one of that's their base plan. Anyway, instant notifications. I encourage you to make sure that the news notifications are turned on. So email yourself or text yourself when you've got a new news item. Actually, especially new item available. Oh, I know. Oh yeah. So especially if news has a new item available. Typically, if it's a class-wide notification, I post it in the news. I expect you all to be always reading the news. So certainly make sure you've got news linked to your email/messaging system. And then you would finish off by clicking on save. Okay, the other thing to remind you to do every time you log in, and I'd like to remind you to log in at least once every school day. And if you're a non-semestered school, I still mean every school day, not every second school day. So check the news. That's the first thing you do. Second thing, you check your message alerts up here at the top. And third thing, make sure you go to the discussions and check out the Class Lounge and see whatever posts are there, because quite often those posts relate to what you're working on. Okay. And we're just going to finish off with the rest of the presentation, which is only one slide. And that is how to get extra help. So I know a few of you have asked for extra help, and the way we try to accommodate that is by using Adobe Connect or a telephone call. The way you can do minor help is by emailing me. You can email me inside the D2L system, and you may have noticed that I log in very regularly and frequently, at least twice a day, if not more often. You can also email me at my work email, eric.dunbar@tdsb.on.ca. Alternately, you can instant message me through D2L, or we can set up a chat feature in Adobe Connect. The other thing you can do is we can talk. I can use Adobe Connect. We can set up a conference. We can include video, demos, whatever. Or I can even talk to you in person on the telephone. So that is it for tonight. I encourage you to get as much of your work done as possible and to do it as quickly as possible to get to the point where I expect you to be, which is by the end of this week, Lesson 5 of Unit 2, and by the middle of next week to have completed Unit 2. So good luck this weekend. Don't get too stressed trying to complete this and your other courses, but do make sure that you complete your work for data management. Good night. This is Mr. Dunbar signing off.